Okay, this is going to be a more in-depth version of our last video describing the knob functions of the speed bumps. If these LEDs are not on, there should be no sound coming through this guitar pedal. And to control whether these are on or off, we have to use some kind of waveform. So right now these are both in the center position. If we go down, this is a square wave. If we go up, this will be a triangle wave. Back in the center, there's nothing. And we're going to turn this one on. And this will be a sine wave. Down over here is a little bit more smoothed out version of a square wave. Not quite a sine, it's somewhere right in between that. You can mix and match these and get some unique waveforms out of that. Now, I'm going to go back to the square wave setting. These are very interesting toggles. They're kind of hard to describe, but let's go after it. If you turn this toggle on, it'll turn on the low side of this channel, which controls this knob over here. And if I turn this one on, it'll do the same thing on the opposing channel. So whenever this light is on right here, it's turning on this channel. Whenever this light's on over here, it turns on this channel, and vice versa. This center switch right here controls whether these channels are in parallel or series with one another. This knob over here controls the volume of this channel on this side. These knobs right here control the speed of each channel, and you can see them crank. So we'll go faster on both, and they get very fast and they get very, very slow. It's fun to mix and match a really slow one with a fast one, in my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna spend a little bit of time talking about these duty cycle controls. The duty cycle is the ratio of on time versus off time of a waveform. So if you look up here, right now we're at a 50-50 on and off. And as you come over to the left, it shifts that so we have more on time versus off time. And it'll come down this way. So you can get some really odd time signatures with this, especially if you mix and match both sides. Now I'm going to go over to the volume section over here. This volume control goes over here, and this is a master gain knob. Both of these are gain as well, so be very careful when cranking all three of these at the same time, because it's going to be a crazy oscillation nightmare. Just as a disclaimer. But if you want to pull back on these, you can get a little bit more of some cleaner switching, and you can crank on this. Additionally, you can crank all the way over here and pull back over there if you want some more distortion. There are some uncomfortable spots in this guitar pedal where it makes a lot of noise and clicking, but there's some potential for some good sound in it that I saw, so I added in this noise gate right here. The noise gate works if it's fully cranked over here. It lets everything in and doesn't stop any noise. As you pull further to the left, you'll hear a little click where the noise gate comparator actually transitions. And you can pull all the way to the left over here and crank on these knobs, which you shouldn't crank on, but this allows you to crank on it, and you can get some really crazy sounds out of that as well. But note that you got to kind of have to play with all three of these together, and you can really get some unique sounds. If anything is not audible, in my opinion, where it's just so noisy that you can't survive with it or listen to it, there will be a little bit of bleeding on the noise when this is off. So these are just a couple of disclaimers. But again, it should only happen on things that you don't really want to hear in the first place. And if you pull this all the way back, this will probably alleviate all the noise on the whole entire pedal itself. So with that disclaimer, I'm going to move into some demos.